The unknown has always had a unique hold over the human imagination, from the vast, uncharted corners of the ocean to the seemingly infinite expanse of the night sky. It's in the quiet solitude of the night, when the world is at rest, that the mind often drifts to thoughts of what might lie beyond. Among the most captivating and enigmatic topics that continue to spark both curiosity and apprehension are UFOs, unidentified flying objects, and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. But while UFOs have become part of popular culture and modern folklore, there is a deeper, quieter mystery surrounding them, one that is often discussed only in hushed tones, behind closed doors, and hidden in the shadows of secrecy. The stories we are about to explore are not of sensationalized encounters or far-fetched science fiction tales, but of real people, men and women who, in their everyday lives, encountered something that defied all explanation. These are stories from retired soldiers, some of whom were stationed in remote corners of the world, others in the heart of classified military operations. What they saw and experienced during their service was not just unsettling, it was mind-altering. These individuals lived through extraordinary moments that would change the course of their lives forever, moments that many of them were never allowed to speak of until long after their service ended. The appeal of UFOs and alien encounters lies not just in the idea that there might be life elsewhere in the universe, but in the mysterious silence that surrounds these experiences. What makes these stories even more captivating is the layer of secrecy, the whispers of government cover-ups, and the strange, persistent doubt that hangs in the air. For decades, governments around the world have either dismissed or ignored reports of UFOs and strange aerial phenomena, pushing these encounters into the realm of urban legend and conspiracy. Yet, there are those who insist they have witnessed something otherworldly, something that can't be explained by conventional science, technology, or logic. This is where the retired soldiers come in, individuals who have dedicated their lives to serving their country, following orders, and keeping classified information secure. What makes their story stand out is not only their credibility, backed by years of service and military discipline, but also their willingness to come forward despite the risks involved. They are not seeking fame or fortune. They are simply sharing the truth as they experienced it. Their accounts, often dismissed or downplayed by the mainstream media and the military establishment, reveal a side of the UFO mystery that is grounded in reality, yet defies all conventional explanation. It's important to understand why these men and women, some of whom were in positions of great authority and responsibility, felt the need to remain silent for so long. For years, the military enforced a strict code of secrecy around any reports of UFO sightings. This silence was not just an internal matter. It was a matter of national security. The implications of what these soldiers saw and experienced could have rattled the foundations of public trust in both the military and government institutions. To speak out, even now, could invite ridicule, skepticism, and professional backlash. And yet, as time passed and the weight of these secrets became harder to bear, some of these veterans chose to reveal what they had witnessed, often at great personal cost. Their stories are not mere anecdotes or personal opinions. They are fragments of a larger puzzle. Throughout the years, UFOs have been associated with numerous theories, some rooted in government conspiracy, others in extraterrestrial encounters, and still others in more bizarre, paranormal explanations. The retired soldiers we will hear from each provide a piece of that puzzle, offering their first-hand accounts of strange encounters with unknown aerial phenomena. These soldiers, once bound by the strictest codes of military silence, are now speaking out, shedding light on encounters that have been deliberately kept in the dark. This blend of mystery and reality raises many questions. If these men are telling the truth, what does that mean for our understanding of the world around us? Are we truly alone in the universe? Or is there something or someone else watching us from the stars? And why, for so long, have these stories been kept from the public eye? At the heart of the mystery lies the question of whether we are truly alone in the universe. For decades, UFO sightings have been reported across the globe, from rural farmlands to bustling cityscapes, from military bases to remote deserts. These sightings vary in detail, but one thing remains constant. They all point to something out of the ordinary, something unexplained, something that challenges our perception of what is possible. From bright lights in the sky to mysterious craft that seem to defy the laws of physics, these encounters have left many in awe and others in fear. But there is more to the story than just the sightings themselves. The psychological impact of such encounters is profound. Many of those who have had close encounters with UFOs report feelings of fear, awe, and confusion. Some even describe a sense of being watched or pursued. The lingering effects of these experiences can last long after the event itself, leaving witnesses to struggle with the realization that they have witnessed something they cannot fully understand, something that seems to exist beyond the limits of human knowledge. The cultural impact of UFO sightings has been equally significant. From a Roswell incident in 1947 to the recent release of U.S. military footage of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs have captured the imagination of millions. Hollywood films, books, and television shows have popularized the idea of extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth, shaping public perception of what alien encounters might look like. Yet, the real stories of UFO encounters, especially those from credible witnesses like retired soldiers, often diverge from the sensationalized versions found in the media. The mysterious nature of these encounters, combined with the intense secrecy surrounding them, has created a fertile ground for speculation. Some believe that UFO sightings are simply misidentifications of conventional aircraft or natural phenomena. Others argue that they are evidence of extraterrestrial life visiting our planet. And then there are those who suggest that these sightings could be the result of secret military projects, experimental aircraft, or even advanced technologies that have been deliberately kept hidden from the public. In the stories we will explore, the witnesses themselves are often as much a part of the mystery as the UFOs they claim to have seen. Their accounts are often emotional, their memories vivid, and their experiences life-changing. And while their stories may seem extraordinary, they are grounded in the reality of their time and place, military bases, remote outposts, and high-security locations where secrets are the norm, and where the truth is often obscured by layers of bureaucracy and national security concerns. As we dive deeper into these accounts, we'll learn not only about the encounters themselves, but also about the men and women who experience them. These soldiers are the unsung witnesses to a larger ongoing mystery, and their stories offer a glimpse into a world that most of us can only imagine, a world where the line between reality and the unknown blurs, and where the search for answers may lead us to a place we never thought possible. This is not just a story about UFOs. It's a journey into the heart of one of the greatest mysteries of our time. So, as we embark on this exploration together, let your mind wander and your imagination open, as we step into a world that is both strange and familiar, comforting and unsettling, mysterious and real. The phenomenon of UFO sightings didn't simply emerge from nowhere in the 20th century. Rather, it unfolded in the context of a world that was rapidly changing, where technological advancements, global tensions, and a deepening sense of insecurity reshaped the way people viewed the skies. While UFO sightings have been reported throughout history, the modern era of UFOs began in the years following World War II. The post-war period was marked by uncertainty, political upheaval, and the dawning of a new technological age that would forever change humanity's place in the universe. It was in this climate of rapid innovation and geopolitical tension that the mystery of UFOs began to take shape in the public consciousness. The end of the Second World War marked not just the cessation of conflict, but the beginning of a new era, one that would see the rise of superpowers locked in a bitter Cold War. The Soviet Union and the United States, former allies, were now engaged in a fierce ideological battle for global supremacy. This geopolitical rivalry would shape the trajectory of history for decades, and it would also play a central role in the emergence of UFO reports. As both nations sought to establish military dominance and technological superiority, the world became more aware of new and unexplained aerial phenomena. At the same time, it was a period when national security, secrecy, and propaganda were central concerns for governments on both sides of the Iron Curtain. The first widely publicized UFO sighting occurred in June 1947 when a civilian pilot named Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 strange, saucer-shaped objects flying in formation near Mount Rainier in Washington state. Arnold's report was not the first of its kind, but it was the one that captured the public's attention. His description of the objects, saucer-like, skipping across the sky like a plate thrown on water, gave birth to the popular term flying saucers. Soon after Arnold's sighting, numerous reports began to flood in from all across the United States, and the press began to take notice. What followed was a wave of UFO sightings, many of which were similar to Arnold's encounter. The sudden increase in reports gave rise to both public fascination and concern. While some dismissed the sightings as nothing more than misidentifications of conventional aircraft or natural phenomena, others began to consider the possibility that the objects being reported were something entirely different. This led to a number of theories, ranging from secret military aircraft to extraterrestrial visitors. But the truth was that nobody, not even the military, could explain the strange occurrences. The U.S. Air Force quickly took an interest in these reports, and soon after, Project Sign was established in 1948. This was the first official U.S. government investigation into UFO sightings. The project was tasked with collecting and analyzing UFO reports in order to determine whether they posed a threat to national security. What is particularly significant about Project Sign is that it marked the beginning of a long history of government investigations into UFOs that would span decades. It was also during this period that the military began to adopt a policy of secrecy regarding UFO sightings, a policy that would be maintained for many years to come. In 1949, Project Sign was replaced by a new initiative, Project Grudge, which was designed to continue the work of investigating UFO sightings. However, unlike Project Sign, which was initially open to the possibility that UFOs could be of extraterrestrial origin, Project Grudge quickly dismissed the idea as unworthy of scientific study. Instead, the focus shifted to debunking UFO sightings and attributing them to more conventional explanations. The policy of secrecy and skepticism that emerged during this time would become a cornerstone of the U.S. military's handling of UFO phenomena for decades. One of the most significant events of this early period in UFO history was the Roswell incident of 1947. The story of Roswell has become one of the most well-known and controversial episodes in UFO lore. According to initial reports, a flying disc had crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. The military quickly issued a press release stating that they had recovered a flying disc. However, within a day, the story changed. The press release was retracted, and the military stated that the object recovered was merely a weather balloon. This abrupt shift in the official narrative sparked widespread speculation and controversy. Many UFO researchers and enthusiasts believe that the military covered up the true nature of the event, suggesting that the object was an extraterrestrial craft, and the bodies recovered from the crash site were of alien origin. The Roswell incident is significant not only because of its mysterious circumstances, but also because it marked the beginning of a pattern of government secrecy surrounding UFO sightings. Over the next several decades, UFO reports would continue to surface, but they were often met with skepticism and silence from the government. While the public was intrigued by these accounts, the military and government agencies were determined to downplay or dismiss the significance of the sightings. This secrecy, which was initially justified by national security concerns, would fuel the growing belief that UFOs were something much more than simple misidentifications. During the Cold War, the geopolitical tension between the U.S. and the Soviet Union created an atmosphere of heightened anxiety and suspicion. Both superpowers were engaged in an arms race, developing advanced weapons and technologies, including nuclear weapons. The threat of global annihilation was ever present, and both sides were constantly on edge, fearful that the other might launch a surprise attack. In this climate of paranoia and secrecy, any unidentified objects in the sky could be perceived as a threat. As a result, many UFO sightings were initially considered potential security risks, especially during the early years of the Cold War when the U.S. military was on high alert for Soviet bombers or missile attacks. But as the decades passed, it became clear that UFO sightings were not just limited to the United States. Reports of strange aerial phenomena were coming from all over the world, particularly from military personnel stationed in remote areas or in countries with strained relations to the West. These reports, coming from credible sources such as fighter pilots and radar operators, were often ignored or suppressed by their governments. The secrecy surrounding UFO sightings became even more pronounced in the 1950s and 1960s as military personnel, fearing ridicule or reprimand, kept silent about their experiences. The military's handling of UFO reports during the Cold War was a delicate balancing act. On one hand, the government wanted to maintain national security by keeping any potential extraterrestrial threat under wraps. On the other hand, the government was keenly aware of the public's growing interest in UFOs and the potential for mass panic. The decision to downplay UFO sightings was also influenced by the fear that such reports could undermine public trust in government institutions, especially at a time when the Cold War was in full swing and the public's faith in government was crucial for maintaining social stability. The atmosphere of secrecy surrounding UFOs reached its peak in the 1960s, with the establishment of the official investigation known as Project Blue Book. This project was intended to gather, analyze, and explain UFO sightings reported by civilians and military personnel alike. Project Blue Book was a massive undertaking, with thousands of reports filed and hundreds of investigations conducted. However, despite its vast scope, Project Blue Book ultimately concluded that there was no evidence to support the idea that UFOs were extraterrestrial in origin. The project's final report, published in 1969, declared that the vast majority of UFO reports could be explained as misidentifications of natural phenomena or conventional aircraft. Yet, even as Project Blue Book was winding down, many UFO enthusiasts and whistleblowers continued to claim that the government was hiding the truth. The Cold War period, with its secrecy, tension, and global fear, formed the backdrop for much of the UFO phenomenon as we know it today. It was a time when the world's superpowers were deeply entrenched in a struggle for dominance, and the skies above were as much a battleground for secrecy and misinformation as the earth below. The UFO sightings that occurred during this time, whether real or misidentified, were enmeshed in the cultural and political landscape of an era marked by distrust, paranoia, and the quest for power. The government's handling of these sightings, whether through cover-ups or dismissals, only served to deepen the mystery, leaving questions unanswered for decades to come. As the years passed and the Cold War came to an end, the question of what UFOs truly were remained just as elusive as ever. The intrigue surrounding these sightings would not fade, but instead it would grow. Despite the official denials and the explanations offered by various government agencies, the public continued to be fascinated by the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The stories of retired soldiers and former military personnel who had witnessed unexplained phenomena firsthand would continue to surface, revealing a side of the UFO mystery that the government had tried to keep hidden for so long. The story of UFOs, like the story of the Cold War itself, is one of secrecy, of unknowns, and of unspoken truths. As we move forward in this journey, we will discover that these early years of UFO sightings and government investigations laid the foundation for the mysteries that continue to captivate us today. There's something uniquely compelling about hearing the voices of those who have witnessed extraordinary events firsthand. When it comes to the topic of UFOs and alien encounters, the credibility of the witnesses adds another layer of intrigue to the already mysterious subject. For decades, UFO enthusiasts and researchers have largely relied on the testimonies of civilians, enthusiasts, and even photographers to piece together the puzzle of UFO sightings. However, some of the most gripping and credible stories come from retired soldiers, men and women who served in various military capacities around the world and who, at great personal risk, have decided to share their accounts of what they saw in the sky. These retired soldiers, often seasoned professionals with years of service in some of the most critical military operations, are not the type of individuals one might expect to tell tales of mysterious, unexplainable events. They are disciplined, rational, and trained to maintain composure in the face of danger. To come forward with such extraordinary stories of UFO encounters requires an immense amount of courage, as these individuals know the risks of being labeled as unreliable or delusional. Yet, despite the potential for ridicule, many of these veterans have chosen to speak out, offering the public a rare glimpse into the world of classified military operations and unexplained aerial phenomena. These soldiers are not simply sharing stories of strange lights in the sky. They are recounting experiences that, for them, were deeply unsettling, life-changing, and often profoundly disorienting. Some have witnessed objects that moved in ways no known aircraft could replicate. Others have seen craft that appeared to defy the laws of physics, with speeds and maneuvers that could only be described as impossible. Still, others have had close encounters with entities that seem to exist beyond the realm of human understanding. What all these accounts share is a sense of awe and disbelief, followed by a deep uncertainty about the true nature of what was witnessed. One of the most compelling aspects of these testimonies is the consistency with which certain details appear across different accounts. Retired soldiers, many of whom had no prior knowledge of each other's stories, describe similar patterns in the UFO sightings they experienced. They speak of craft that appear out of nowhere, hover in place without making a sound, and then vanish at incredible speeds. They describe lights that seem to blink in odd sequences or move in geometric patterns, far beyond what conventional aircraft are capable of. These are not the fanciful imaginings of dreamers or conspiracy theorists. They are the observations of highly trained, level-headed individuals who were, at the time, in positions of authority and responsibility. For example, one retired Air Force officer recounts an experience from his time stationed at a remote military base in the 1970s. One evening, while on patrol, he and his team noticed a strange light in the sky, hovering silently over a nearby hill. As they watched in stunned silence, the object performed a series of maneuvers that defied all known explanations. The light accelerated at a speed that was far beyond the capability of any jet or missile. It made sharp, angular turns that seemed to disregard the laws of physics. The officer, trained in the art of observation, described the object as a brilliant light that appeared to be alive, almost as if it was aware of their presence. His team attempted to track the object with radar, but it was as though the craft had disappeared entirely, evading detection. The emotional and psychological effects of these encounters are difficult to fully understand, but they are no less significant. For these soldiers, their training and years of service had prepared them to face the dangers of war, to endure the harshest conditions, and to make life and death decisions in a moment's notice. They were accustomed to dealing with the extraordinary, but nothing could have prepared them for what they encountered in the skies. Some of them reported feeling a sense of awe, mixed with fear and confusion. Others described feelings of being watched or drawn in by the objects they observed. In some cases, soldiers experienced vivid dreams or flashbacks long after the event had passed, struggling to reconcile what they had seen with what they knew to be possible. One particularly striking case involved a retired Navy officer who had served in the Pacific during the 1960s. While on a routine night watch aboard a ship, he and his crew witnessed several lights in the distance that initially appeared to be aircraft. However, as the lights approached, they began to behave in ways that defied all logic. The lights moved erratically, speeding up and slowing down with no apparent pattern. The Navy officer recalls that the lights seemed to dance in the sky, circling and weaving around one another. Despite the crew's best efforts to contact any nearby aircraft, there was no response. The lights eventually disappeared into the distance, leaving the crew both confused and unnerved. The officer admitted that, despite his extensive training, he had never seen anything like it, and he was left with a sense of awe and terror. What makes these accounts particularly compelling is the fact that many of these soldiers were not actively seeking UFOs or alien encounters. They were not out looking for something mysterious. They were simply doing their jobs, serving their countries in the best way they knew how. Their experiences were not the result of an active search for the unknown, but rather a chance encounter with something far beyond their understanding. In many cases, the soldiers involved had little or no knowledge of the UFO phenomenon prior to their sightings, and their initial reactions were often ones of disbelief or skepticism. It wasn't until after the encounters that they began to question what they had seen, and only later did they realize the full significance of their experiences. These first-hand accounts highlight a key aspect of the UFO phenomenon that is often overlooked: the profound psychological impact these encounters have on those who experience them. For many soldiers, witnessing something so inexplicable challenges everything they've been taught to believe about the world. It raises unsettling questions about the nature of reality itself. Are we truly alone in the universe? What are the implications if we are not? And if UFOs are real, why has the government kept their existence a secret for so long? The soldiers who have shared their stories are often reluctant witnesses, burdened by the weight of their experiences. Some have faced ridicule, while others have kept silent for years out of fear of being discredited. Yet, as time has passed, more and more of these veterans have come forward, revealing the truth of their encounters and shedding light on the mysteries that have been hidden for so long. These soldiers are not the stuff of conspiracy theories. They are real people with real experiences who are simply trying to share what they saw with the world. They are part of a growing movement of whistleblowers who believe that the truth about UFOs and perhaps extraterrestrial life must be brought to light. These accounts have a significant impact, not just on the individuals who witness them, but on our collective understanding of the UFO phenomenon. Each story, each testimony, adds another layer of depth to the mystery. As we listen to these soldiers speak, we begin to see that the UFO phenomenon is not a fringe issue or the result of mass hysteria. It is a deeply real, albeit unexplained, part of our history. It is not a subject that can be easily dismissed, no matter how much some would prefer to ignore it. As these soldiers speak, they remind us that the search for truth is often fraught with uncertainty, and that the answers we seek may be far stranger than we could ever imagine. Their experiences provide a glimpse into a world that is hidden just beyond our understanding, a world that, despite all our technological advancements and scientific knowledge, still holds mysteries that may forever remain just beyond our grasp. And it is this very uncertainty that fuels our fascination with the UFO phenomenon, making it one of the most enduring and compelling mysteries of our time. In the end, the stories of these retired soldiers serve as a testament to the courage it takes to confront the unknown and to share the truth, no matter how strange or unsettling it may be. Their voices, though calm and steady, carry the weight of experiences that have shaped their lives in ways that cannot be easily explained. And as we listen to their accounts, we are reminded that sometimes the most profound mysteries are the ones that lie just beyond our understanding, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek the truth. When it comes to the phenomenon of UFO sightings and encounters, one of the most significant and perplexing aspects is not necessarily the sightings themselves, but rather the response, or lack thereof, from governments around the world. For decades, particularly during the 20th century, reports of UFOs were often met with a policy of dismissal, denial, and secrecy. The government, particularly military agencies, seemed to have a vested interest in obscuring the truth, leading to widespread speculation, conspiracy theories, and a general sense of distrust. This attitude of silence and classification played a crucial role in shaping the public's understanding of UFOs and alien encounters, while simultaneously fostering a culture of skepticism, fear, and confusion. The U.S. government in particular became central to this phenomenon, as it was the country where many of the most significant UFO sightings and encounters occurred. From the very beginning, the U.S. military's response to UFO reports was one of caution, secrecy, and, at times, outright denial. As early as the late 1940s, following the surge of UFO sightings, the government began to take steps to control the flow of information. The most notable of these efforts was the establishment of official programs and investigations, such as Project Sign, Project Grudge, and the infamous Project Blue Book. These programs, while ostensibly tasked with gathering and analyzing UFO reports, were in reality efforts to either dismiss sightings or reframe them in ways that would not raise public concern. One of the earliest and most famous examples of the government's attempts to downplay UFO sightings is the case of the 1947 Roswell incident. Initially, when reports began to emerge of a mysterious crash in Roswell, New Mexico, the U.S. military issued a statement claiming that a flying disc had been recovered. However, within hours, this story was retracted, and a new narrative was offered. The object recovered was not a UFO, but a weather balloon. This sudden shift in the official story raised immediate suspicions. Why the change in explanation? And why, many wondered, had the military so quickly been ready to publicize the notion of a flying disc, only to abandon it moments later? The Roswell incident became a cornerstone of UFO lore, fueling decades of conspiracy theories about government cover-ups, alien autopsies, and hidden extraterrestrial technology. At the time, the government's justification for such secrecy was rooted in national security concerns. The Cold War was in full swing, and the U.S. military was deeply preoccupied with the threat of Soviet espionage and the development of advanced weaponry. The idea that UFO sightings could be tied to foreign enemy technology, perhaps even Soviet advances, was a powerful motivator for keeping such encounters under wraps. In an era marked by extreme political tension and the looming possibility of nuclear warfare, any unexplainable aerial phenomena could be perceived as a potential threat. The secrecy surrounding UFO sightings, then, was not just about protecting sensitive information about extraterrestrial life, but also about safeguarding national security. The psychological effects of these government actions on witnesses were profound. For many soldiers, officers, and civilians who reported UFO sightings, the government's reaction was one of indifference or dismissal. In the case of military personnel, particularly those in sensitive or high-security positions, the consequences of speaking out about an unexplained encounter could be severe. There was, and in many cases still is, an unwritten code of silence surrounding UFOs in the military. Those who dared to come forward often faced ridicule, reprimand, and even the loss of their careers. The fear of professional ruin, or worse, becoming the subject of intense scrutiny, led many individuals to suppress their experiences or to adopt a stance of silence. For those brave enough to share their accounts, the experience of being ignored or disbelieved was disorienting. Many of the soldiers and witnesses who came forward with UFO reports had been trained to be observant, logical, and meticulous in their duties. They had seen combat, dealt with life-threatening situations, and participated in classified operations. Their credibility was unquestionable. Yet when they spoke about what they had seen, strange craft, unexplainable lights, objects moving at impossible speeds, they were met with a mixture of skepticism, indifference, or outright hostility. One retired Air Force officer, who had witnessed a close encounter with a UFO while stationed at a remote military base in the 1960s, recalls the psychological toll of being told to keep quiet. He and his team had observed a craft that hovered over their base for several hours, performing maneuvers that defied explanation. Despite the clear evidence of something extraordinary, the officer was instructed to write a report dismissing the event as a misidentified weather balloon. The idea of challenging this narrative was unthinkable. The consequences for a military officer to publicly question the official explanation would have been career-ending. Over the years, the officer said he became increasingly disillusioned with the military stance on UFOs. He had witnessed something that could not be explained away, yet he was forced to live with the silence that surrounded it. This culture of silence was reinforced by government policies designed to suppress UFO information. In the 1950s and 1960s, the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book was the government's official program for investigating UFO sightings. However, despite its vast scope, hundreds of UFO reports were investigated. Project Blue Book concluded that none of the sightings posed a threat to national security or were evidence of extraterrestrial life. The project ultimately dismissed UFOs as either misidentified aircraft, natural phenomena, or hoaxes. Yet, despite this official line, many individuals who participated in these investigations or who were directly involved in UFO encounters remained unconvinced by the conclusions of the project. The psychological toll of being told that something extraordinary was merely nothing was not just an issue for the witnesses themselves, but for the broader public perception of UFOs. The government's refusal to acknowledge the possibility of extraterrestrial life reinforced the idea that UFO sightings were not to be taken seriously. This fostered an environment where mainstream media often ridiculed or sensationalized reports of UFO encounters, treating them as little more than the stuff of tabloid gossip or fringe conspiracy theories. As a result, the public became increasingly divided on the subject, with many accepting the official line, while others began to question whether the government was hiding the truth. One of the most significant effects of government secrecy and denial was the impact on the relationship between the public and its institutions. Over time, the consistent dismissal of UFO sightings began to create a sense of distrust in government and military authorities. The government's failure to provide transparent explanations left many to wonder, what was being kept from the public? Were UFOs truly just misidentified phenomena, or was there something more sinister being hidden? This suspicion gave rise to a number of conspiracy theories, some of which suggested that governments around the world were actively covering up the truth about extraterrestrial life and advanced technologies. While the government's stance on UFOs was one of secrecy, it is important to recognize that the silence surrounding these phenomena was not absolute. Over the years, there were moments when the veil of secrecy began to lift, albeit slowly. In the 1980s and 1990s, for example, a number of former military personnel and government officials began to come forward, sharing their own accounts of UFO sightings and encounters. These individuals, many of whom had been involved in the military's UFO investigations, revealed that they had been instructed to keep quiet about what they had seen. Their testimonies, though few in number, added weight to the growing belief that the government was indeed hiding the truth. In recent years, the U.S. government's stance on UFOs has begun to shift. The release of several declassified reports and videos by the Pentagon in the 2000s and 2010s, including footage of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, captured by military pilots, has reignited public interest in UFOs. These revelations have led to renewed calls for transparency and for a more open investigation into the phenomenon. While the government still maintains that there is no definitive proof of extraterrestrial life, the acknowledgement of UFOs as unexplained phenomena has opened the door for a broader conversation about the possibility of otherworldly visitors. However, the psychological and cultural implications of the government's previous stance on UFOs remain significant. The long history of denial and secrecy has left many people with a lingering sense of distrust. And for some, the notion that governments have been withholding information about extraterrestrial life has become a deeply ingrained belief. The emotional weight of these government actions continues to affect those who have had their own encounters with UFOs, as well as the broader public's perception of the subject. The government's response to UFO sightings, especially in the early years of the phenomenon, set the stage for a lasting mystery that has yet to be fully resolved. The psychological toll on those who have witnessed UFOs, the conspiracy theories that have flourished in the absence of answers, and the cultural divide between official explanations and personal experiences all contribute to the continuing fascination with UFOs. And while some may dismiss these stories as mere fantasy, for many, they represent a truth that is still waiting to be uncovered, one that may ultimately change our understanding of the universe itself. When it comes to UFOs, the most widely accepted theory is that they are craft from other worlds, piloted by extraterrestrial beings. This theory, while captivating, is far from the only explanation put forward to account for the vast array of UFO sightings and encounters that have occurred throughout history. Over the years, alternative theories have emerged, each offering a unique perspective on the true nature of UFOs. Some of these theories challenge the very concept of extraterrestrial life itself, while others propose that UFOs might be manifestations of something far more complex, spiritual, interdimensional, or even a product of the collective unconscious. One of the most popular alternative theories is that UFOs may not be extraterrestrial at all, but rather interdimensional. This theory suggests that UFOs are not coming from distant planets, but from other dimensions or parallel universes. According to this view, the objects that witnesses see are not necessarily alien spacecraft in the traditional sense, but manifestations of beings or technology from alternate dimensions that occasionally slip into our own. This theory borrows from ideas found in quantum physics and the concept of the multiverse, the idea that multiple, parallel universes exist alongside our own, and that under certain conditions, these dimensions can briefly overlap. Proponents of the interdimensional theory argue that some UFO sightings don't fit the conventional understanding of space travel. For example, UFOs that appear and disappear instantaneously, or craft that seem to move through solid objects, might be better understood as interdimensional portals, allowing beings or technologies from other realities to briefly appear in our world. Supporters of this theory point to reports of UFOs performing impossible maneuvers, such as moving at speeds that defy the laws of physics or accelerating and decelerating with no apparent inertia, as evidence that these craft are not bound by the same physical rules that govern our universe. One fascinating element of the interdimensional theory is that it offers an explanation for some of the more bizarre and inexplicable aspects of UFO encounters, such as time distortions or strange experiences reported by witnesses. Some individuals who have had close encounters with UFOs have described feelings of disorientation, as if time itself had been altered. They speak of missing time, where hours seem to vanish from their memory, leaving them unable to account for what occurred during that period. In this context, such phenomena could be understood as side effects of the interdimensional nature of UFOs, as visitors from another reality briefly alter the flow of time in our own. Another widely discussed alternative theory is that UFOs could be manifestations of human consciousness or the collective unconscious. This theory draws from the works of Carl Jung, who suggested that archetypes, universal symbols, or motifs embedded in the human psyche, might play a significant role in shaping our perceptions of the world around us. According to this perspective, UFOs could be expressions of a deeper, collective need for transcendence, for the unknown, or even for a sense of connection with something greater than ourselves. Jung himself explored the idea that UFOs might be a modern incarnation of the ancient symbols of the sky gods or the divine, reflecting humanity's age-old fascination with the cosmos. In this view, UFOs are not physical craft, but psychological phenomena, projections of humanity's deep-seated desires for contact with higher beings or advanced intelligence. This theory proposes that UFO sightings might be symbolic manifestations of the collective unconscious, representing a profound yearning for knowledge and understanding, or perhaps a deep-seated fear of the unknown. In this sense, UFOs could be seen as a mirror of our inner psychological landscape, a reflection of the desires, fears, and uncertainties that reside in the depths of the human psyche. Some individuals who have had UFO encounters report feelings of awe, wonder, or even spiritual awakening. These experiences in this context are not necessarily encounters with extraterrestrials, but are symbolic expressions of humanity's collective quest for meaning in an otherwise chaotic and unpredictable world. The idea that UFOs could be psychological or spiritual phenomena also helps explain why some people report having recurring encounters with similar entities or craft, suggesting that these experiences may not be random, but are instead tied to an individual's inner world or psychological state. Another intriguing theory, often discussed in more fringe circles, is that UFOs are not from outer space, nor are they from another dimension, but are instead time travelers from our own future. This theory posits that UFOs might be advanced human craft sent back in time from a distant future, where humanity has evolved technologically and perhaps even gained the ability to manipulate time itself. According to this idea, these time travelers would be observing or even intervening in our past, either to study us or to influence the course of history. The time travel theory draws on the premise that if time travel were possible, it could explain many of the phenomena associated with UFOs. For example, time travelers from the future would have access to technology far beyond our own, which could account for the advanced capabilities displayed by UFOs, such as their ability to move at extreme speeds, hover silently, or seemingly defy the laws of physics. In this context, UFOs could be seen as a form of historical observation or intervention, with visitors from the future attempting to monitor or alter events in our past. This theory is appealing because it provides a grounded explanation for the advanced technology displayed by UFOs while keeping the origin of the craft within the realm of human possibility. An even more unconventional theory suggests that UFOs might be related to extraterrestrial beings, but not in the traditional sense. According to proponents of the ultra-terrestrial theory, UFOs may be piloted not by aliens, but by entities that exist in a different frequency of reality, a type of being that is neither alien nor human, but something entirely other. These entities might not come from distant planets, but from an alternate aspect of our own reality, existing in parallel to our own perceptions. These ultra-terrestrials might be capable of shifting in and out of our perception, manifesting only when they choose to interact with us. Ultra-terrestrials, in this theory, could be linked to a range of paranormal phenomena, from ghosts to cryptids like Bigfoot. The idea is that these entities are not confined to the physical limitations of our reality, and their appearances are tied to shifts in the fabric of space-time. UFO sightings, in this context, would be one of many types of encounters with these ultra-terrestrial beings, whose existence might be tied to realms of reality that we cannot yet perceive or fully understand. This theory proposes that the UFO phenomenon, along with other paranormal experiences, is not the result of extraterrestrial visitation, but of encounters with beings that operate in a realm of existence far beyond our current understanding of space and time. The question of whether UFOs are a form of intelligence, whether extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or ultraterrestrial, brings us back to the fundamental mystery of the phenomenon. What are we truly encountering? The stories of retired soldiers, scientists, and civilians alike are filled with consistent descriptions of craft that seem to defy the laws of nature, beings that are both alien and yet familiar, experiences that leave witnesses questioning the very fabric of reality. Yet the question of who or what is behind these phenomena remains largely unanswered. The theory of UFOs as ultra-terrestrial or interdimensional phenomena raises significant questions about the nature of reality itself. Could these strange entities be manifestations of our own consciousness? Are they projections of human fears and desires? Or are they visitors from another dimension or future? What does it mean to experience something that cannot be fully explained by our current understanding of the universe? These theories encourage us to consider the possibility that the answer to the UFO mystery may not lie in the stars, but within ourselves, in our minds, our perceptions, and our collective psyche. As we explore these alternative theories, it becomes clear that the UFO phenomenon is not merely about aliens or extraterrestrial life. It is a reflection of the unknown, the unexplainable, and the mysterious forces that shape our understanding of the universe. These theories offer a glimpse into the many layers of mystery that surround the UFO phenomenon, from interdimensional travel to collective consciousness to time travel. Each theory provides a unique perspective on what UFOs might represent, and each one challenges us to rethink our place in the cosmos and to reconsider the boundaries between the known and the unknown. In the end, the true nature of UFOs may not be as simple as visiting spacecraft from distant planets. Perhaps the answers lie in the very fabric of reality itself, hidden in the spaces between dimensions, in the realms of human consciousness, or even in the future, waiting to be revealed by those brave enough to explore the unknown. The search for the truth behind UFOs may be less about finding alien life and more about discovering the deeper truths about our own existence and the vast, mysterious universe that surrounds us. The UFO phenomenon has transcended the realm of the unexplained to become an integral part of modern culture, influencing everything from art and film to politics and personal belief systems. Over the decades, the impact of UFO sightings and alien encounters has woven itself into the very fabric of society, shaping public discourse and influencing how humanity perceives the universe and its place within it. UFOs have gone from being a topic of niche fascination to a mainstream cultural phenomenon, with significant ramifications in areas ranging from entertainment to spirituality, and even to the way we view scientific inquiry and the possibility of life beyond Earth. One of the most profound ways in which UFOs have influenced culture is through their representation in the media. From the earliest days of the UFO craze in the 1950s to the present day, aliens, UFOs, and extraterrestrial life have been depicted in countless films, television shows, and books. These portrayals, often dramatized or fictionalized, have not only reflected the anxieties and hopes of the time, but have also shaped how people perceive the phenomenon of UFOs. Movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, introduced audiences to extraterrestrials as both potential threats and potential sources of enlightenment. They painted a picture of UFOs as symbols of humanity's encounter with the unknown, with all the existential fear and awe that such encounters evoke. In particular, the science fiction genre has played a crucial role in shaping the modern cultural understanding of UFOs. Films such as E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982, The War of the Worlds, 1953, and Independence Day, 1996, helped establish the archetype of the alien encounter in the public imagination, each with its own narrative spin on what such an event might mean. For some, these stories offer a sense of wonder and curiosity about the possibilities of life beyond Earth, while for others, they tap into deeper fears about the nature of extraterrestrial intentions and the impact such encounters might have on humanity. The presence of aliens in these works often reflects the political and cultural climate of the time, ranging from the Cold War fears of invasion to the more contemporary exploration of environmental concerns, humanity's place in the universe, and the ethics of scientific exploration. The concept of UFOs and extraterrestrial beings also made its way into the world of literature, particularly science fiction, which has long explored the idea of humanity's place in the cosmos. Writers such as H.G. Wells, Arthur C. Clarke, and Philip K. Dick delved into the theme of extraterrestrial contact long before the widespread public fascination with UFOs took hold. Wells' novel The War of the Worlds, 1898, offered a chilling vision of Martian invaders, while Clarke's Childhood's End, 1953, explored the idea of peaceful alien intervention in human evolution. These early works laid the groundwork for later depictions of UFOs in popular culture, and their influence can still be seen in contemporary science fiction. Beyond the realm of entertainment, UFOs have also had a profound impact on spirituality and belief systems. In the years following the surge of UFO sightings in the 1940s and 1950s, many individuals began to see UFOs not merely as vehicles of extraterrestrial beings, but as potential messengers or symbols of a higher truth. For some, the idea of alien visitors became intertwined with religious or spiritual beliefs, with certain UFO experiences being framed as encounters with divine or otherworldly forces. This shift in perspective has given rise to numerous religious movements and philosophical ideas centered around extraterrestrial life. One of the most prominent examples of this is the Raelian movement, which was founded in the 1970s by Claude Vorilhon, a French journalist who claimed to have had an encounter with extraterrestrial beings. According to Vorilhon, these beings, whom he referred to as the Elohim, visited him and explained that they were responsible for the creation of humanity. The Raelian philosophy centers on the belief that humanity will one day reunite with these extraterrestrial creators, and that their return will usher in a new era of enlightenment and peace. This is just one example of how the UFO phenomenon has become intertwined with new spiritual beliefs, with numerous individuals and groups seeing extraterrestrial life not as an alien threat, but as a source of wisdom or guidance. In addition to influencing new spiritual movements, UFOs have also shaped existing belief systems, particularly in the realms of esotericism and New Age thought. The idea of alien visitors as spiritual guides or teachers has found a place within New Age circles, where the concept of extraterrestrial life is often linked to ideas of consciousness expansion, spiritual awakening, and cosmic evolution. UFO sightings, in this context, are seen as signs of an impending spiritual transformation or awakening for humanity, as we make contact with higher beings who can guide us toward a more enlightened state of being. While UFOs have inspired countless individuals to explore the spiritual dimensions of extraterrestrial contact, they have also influenced more secular aspects of culture. For example, the UFO phenomenon has had a profound impact on the way we approach scientific inquiry, particularly in the field of astronomy and space exploration. The search for extraterrestrial life has become a central focus of scientific research, with projects like SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, devoted to listening for signals from alien civilizations. The ongoing exploration of Mars and other distant planets also fuels the public's fascination with the possibility of life beyond Earth. While scientific inquiry into UFOs remains cautious and skeptical, the very fact that it has become a mainstream subject of research speaks to the broader cultural impact of the UFO phenomenon. The fascination with UFOs has also influenced the world of conspiracy theories and government transparency. As UFO sightings and reports grew in frequency, so did the suspicion that governments were concealing information about extraterrestrial life. The idea that the government might be hiding the truth about UFOs has been a consistent theme in popular culture, from films like The X-Files, 1993 to 2018, to books like Chariots of the Gods, by Eric von Daniken, 1968. These works have perpetuated the belief that UFOs and aliens are not only real, but that they are part of a larger cover-up orchestrated by government agencies to prevent the public from learning the truth. This narrative of secrecy and hidden knowledge has become a significant part of UFO lore, and it continues to shape the way many people view the phenomenon today. Another area where the cultural influence of UFOs is evident is in the realm of modern folklore. The idea of alien encounters has become a central theme in contemporary mythology, influencing everything from urban legends to conspiracy theories. Stories of abductions, government cover-ups, and encounters with strange entities have become part of the collective imagination, passed down through word of mouth, books, documentaries, and now, increasingly, social media. The idea that extraterrestrial life is hidden among us, that alien abductions occur in secret, or that UFOs are visiting Earth without our knowledge, has become a significant part of modern myth-making. These modern myths, often fueled by media portrayals and eyewitness accounts, have created a lasting cultural impact that shapes how we think about the unknown. UFOs have become a symbol of humanity's quest for answers, of our desire to understand the mysteries of the cosmos and our place within it. They represent both the promise of discovery and the fear of what might lie beyond our understanding. The cultural influence of UFOs is also seen in the way the phenomenon has been embraced by pop culture. From the countless documentaries and television series that explore the topic to the widespread use of UFO imagery in advertising, music, and fashion, UFOs have become an iconic symbol of mystery and exploration. In many ways, UFOs have become a modern-day archetype, representing not just the unknown, but humanity's ongoing quest for knowledge and contact with something beyond our comprehension. The phenomenon of UFOs, and the way it has been woven into the cultural fabric of society, speaks to something deeper within us. It taps into a universal human desire to explore, to discover, and to understand our place in the vast and mysterious universe. It reflects our hopes, our fears, and our unyielding curiosity about the possibility that we are not alone in the cosmos. As UFOs continue to capture the collective imagination, they remain a powerful symbol of humanity's endless pursuit of answers, answers that may one day reshape our understanding of reality itself. In the end, the cultural influence of UFOs is not just about the sightings or the theories surrounding them. It's about the way in which they have become a mirror for our collective psyche, reflecting our deepest questions, our greatest hopes, and our most profound anxieties. Whether they are seen as symbols of threat, enlightenment, or mystery. UFOs continue to shape our understanding of the universe and our place within it. And as long as the mystery persists, UFOs will remain an enduring part of our cultural landscape, continuing to inspire fascination, fear, and wonder.